Good morning, guys. Today is Wednesday, October 9th, 6:30 a.m. Just gonna do a quick video on OTRK, the mindset, um, context, bias, things such as setup, entry trigger, things such as. So let's go over the room real quick of the mindset yesterday. Well, you know, pre-market, your bias and your context could be a no trade. It could be um, even a long, right? Even for a potential future short, obviously, right? So pre-market, TRK reverse split with agenda to stay listed for me in that moment, right? 9:30, I'm not going to short this, and we will get to why, right? So text and bias at that moment was a no trade, right? The difference between no traders is they have a context of it's up too much is the short, but timing in trading, timing and entry, and when it's your time to actually short is a lot different than just saying it's up too much, time to short. But when do we short, right? You could get in early, right? You know, timing's important, especially in this volatile type of sector that we play, such as small caps, low floats. Um, you could get yourself in a lot of trouble if you don't know how to put yourself into good timing situations more times than not. So I said it's a good old potential, scheme, right? The Nasdaq Ponzi scheme, reverse split, lower the share count, they pump it, right? Get liquidity into the name, and then they raise, and that's exactly what they did, right? They hit the warrants around 450s or wherever they were, so we avoided it, right? Okay, we avoided it, and then we shorted OTRK at 10:28. I think it was like a minute before, but it's not the fucking alert channel, so a minute before. Now, let's go into the nitty-gritty of why we were so patient to wait for our time to finally short. So, with trading, you have a context, bias, timing, entry method, right? Well, setup and context is about the same thing, right? So, at 9:30, I pulled up the gap stats, and you could just go on Edge to trade here, and you could put in gaps over 20% for the last 10 years. Search that specific ticker, and boom, you get data for what the. We're going to go back to the chat room, and we're going to pull up this data. I did this pre-market. I always do my due diligence pre-market. It's not just an avoid, right? Because it's an SS, because it's the reverse split. There is a potential trade if the data and personality shows that it does like to fail. So we open. These are the last two times over the last 10 years. So it only gapped over 20% two times over the last 10 years. And it opened at 765 on this day, spiked, failed. Opened at 95. This is a reverse split, obviously. 95, spiked, failed. So now we have a bias. Out the gate, all right, could, yes, people room longed it. He, Mike longed it. A few people longed it. So no short, no trade. At this very moment, okay? I'm not just going to long it. I'm just going to say no trade because it's not a setup for me in terms of the long. Could it be? Potentially, but I prefer just to wait for the short. So, no trade at 9:30. All right. Bias for later. After a big squeeze, one SMA breakdown, short biased. Right. What does the stock tend to do? Right. Personality. likes to squeeze, then fail, right? So after a big squeeze, one SMA breakdown, I will short it, but not out the gate. I'm gonna let shorts get blown out, right? Context, right? Context is we're gapping up, but personality is the bias is the stock is not a short bias stock out the gate because the data says it likes to run first. Timing, another one. Well, it likes to run, so I'm not going to get in right away, right? And, right. So we have our bias. What's our bias? Out the gate, no short. But if it does a big squeeze, we could short. But how? What's our entry method? I mean, there's many entry methods, failed breakouts. I mean, but this is what I do. All right. One SMA breakdown. If it's deviated off the 5-minute SMA, I will trade the one SMA breakdown and add into the winner. Now, how do we get a PT here? Well, more times than not, this thing does a complete round trip, right? They open high, low, 504. Open, high, low, 83. So it likes to break low a day, but it closes either right above open or right below. So you could hold this for a complete round trip. I covered some early just because I'm not a perfect trader. I've never been a perfect trader. I never will be a perfect trader. I have flaws. Patience can be a flaw for me sometimes. So low a day, round trip, right? And that was the PT, right? Patience, right? So we had our bias at the open, no trade, but after big squeeze, we could, right? Now OTRK, and this is why it was so easy. The hardest part here, fellas, is that, and ladies, it's the patience to wait for the time to trade, right? It's easier saying it now, but patience to let the trade come to you and let it set up and for you is a lot harder said than done, right? We all know that. We've all been early in a trade, right? It's not like we're not guilty of it. It's the patience to wait. So what do, right? Well, I let it run. Boom, 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 boom. You could have did this failed breakout. I personally don't do this. I let it break down, shorted, added here. When it broke down, I shorted down here, moved my stop from high a day to now 50 cents lower to this breakdown candle right here. Added right here, under view up. And you can see you would have never got in here because it never broke the 20 SMA. So it was grinding it, backside short, add into the backside. Why could you add down here at VWAP? Is because the data says it should break low a day and either closes below open or right above. So you have what? You have more you have more meat to the downside. So added here, and what did it do? It faded. But the most important part here is just to have patience to wait for your bias to form, right? Here, I had no bias. Right? It's not a short for me. I said it's a long, people did long and I made money. I don't long it, but my bias was now let it do what it does, right? You know, the history, let it squeeze, and then it fails. And my entry method is the 20 SMA. So I let it squeeze, broke 20 SMA, and now this is how I time the top, the time for it to roll over, the backside of this move. Big squeeze. History says it fails. Broke down, shorted it, and what did it do? It failed all day. And it was that simple, right? I think using the data and what stocks tend to do can help you with timing. Timing is the most important thing in trading. Um, so if you could time how to be, not early all the time, you're going to be early sometimes. It's trading, right? Anyone could do a hindsight fill. You're going to be early, but the point is you want to try to um, make your timing at the best possible, right? But you will have times to be early. You cut it. It worked out perfectly. So But that was just the thesis, right? We got uh, um, right, content, and 1 minute breakdown. We could time, let it squeeze. At 1 minute SMA, either do is based off of, and that's basically it, guys. Very good. And and then guys, for does this, I would do that type of mentality, right? No bias. But if it does this, I will do this, right? If it's I have no bias. All right, it's a good mindset, it's a good practice, and yeah, that's it. Take care.